The Battleface podcast is broadcast live on Fridays and Sundays, and we encourage you to come hang out and chat with Bard and Dare live. Now, prepare to declare attacks. You are entering the Battle Phase. And hello everyone, you have entered the Battle Phase. It is I, the Midnight Bard, your favorite bard. And joining me as always is everybody's favorite co-host, Hammerfan and Borganon himself.
Your mic was also live during that.
Yeah, well, I said yours is live like a second before I turned mine on, so yeah.
And I heard it on stream too.
Oh, sweet. Oh, no, that's not possible. It was still grayed out.
It was not. I heard you on stream.
Are you sure you didn't just hear me over Discord?
Nope.
Okie doke.
Because I got an echo.
I don't know what that means.
It means I'm listening to both.
Okay. Yeah, so today we're doing like a just chillin' stream, you know, like as we do every now and then. You know, the boys got you know, pretty busy week. So, you know, like this weekend, you know, we're just kind of like sitting down doing the thing that we usually do where we chat about things going on. And I personally went out and I picked a couple of topics in the off chance that, you know, conversation got kind of stale. You know, as you do at like, you know, house parties where you keep like a pocket full of index cards and, you know, like whenever conversation seems to be slowing down, you pull out the index card and you go like, oh, hey, you know, we are having, you know, like here's a question for you, and then it's just like the most random thing ever.
I don't know because I've not been to the house parties, but I feel like that's something that old people do.
Yeah, I haven't been to a house party in forever. Like I say house party, but you know, it was kind of like the college thing, you know, where you go to college and, you know, they invite you to like, you know, their apartment to like hang and stuff, and you just kind of like drink and play video games and stuff. We had like a video game for the PlayStation 3 called SingStar, which is basically karaoke on your PlayStation 3. You remember the PlayStation 3?
We never had note cards for parties.
Oh, did you not? Okay.
I think that's the part that I'm hung up on.
Well, I did, but that's mostly because I am terrible at conversation. But before we get started, please remember to like, sub, and share. It helps the boys grow, and we would love, you know, to have more people drop by and chat with us on whenever we're having Let's Hang streams. Hello, Royal Gargoyle. Welcome to the show. And to everyone listening on podcasting platforms, Spotify, Samsung Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, etc., welcome. And if you'd like to be part of our live audience, drop by our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@thebattlephase, where you can join our live streams every Friday and Sunday when we broadcast this show live, and, you know, chat with us, talk to us what's going on in your world. So what's going on in my world today, Dare? I hate Yosenju, and you should too. I have a couple of points here in this presentation to just talk about Yosenju. I lost to him. That's whack. I hate that. Number 2, oh, you're just gonna set 3 torrential tributes, a solemn judgment, and a compulse, and then smack me to death over the course of 15 turns? That's a super cool game plan, bro. And lastly, sure, they're beast warriors, and I like that type of monster, but I don't respect them. And I guess they're also inferior to Tri-Brigade, you know what I'm saying?
What deck do you play again?
What deck are we? Well, I mean, in this event, I'm playing Scareclaw.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or like on like a normal day?
On a normal day, I don't know. It depends. I kind of like shuffle between things. I've been playing Sword Soul a lot lately because that's still a strong deck. I play Labyrinth. That's like my main. But, you know, kind of hoping for like some... I'm looking towards Centurion with like eagerness. That could be a good one. Granted, Thus far, Centurion is looking like King Calamity Turbo. And if it comes to that, I probably just make something different. You know how I am. I don't like to lock my opponent out of the duel. I like to give them a fighting chance. But Yosenju is terrible, and everyone should hate it. Wilo's Arcade says, "Hola, amigos. I'm sorry I'm late. You always apologize for being late. You're not late. This is a casual hangout. Walk in whenever you want. Bring your own drink. Sit on the couch, enjoy your time with the boys. We just chillin'." Anyway, you sounded really judgmental whenever you asked what deck do you play, like you had something to say.
I'm judging the fuck out of you right now.
Why?
Because, like, the way you describe Yosenju is like how I could describe 90% of the decks you play.
That's false.
That is absolutely not false.
No, it is 100%
This is literally
false.
not false. You lost to yourself and you're upset.
I didn't lose to myself. I don't play Yosenju.
To yourself.
I don't play Yosenju.
You lost to yourself and you're upset.
Royal says, "You're bad at conversation?" Dare would disagree. That's true. Well, I mean,
Dare would wholeheartedly agree with him being bad at conversation. Because a conversation requires two people to speak.
Yeah.
And with Bard, it's just Bard speaking.
Well, please feel free to interrupt me at any time. That's how conversations happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll interrupt you if I know what you're talking about.
Sure.
9 times out of 10, I don't fucking know what you're talking about.
I know. That's why you gotta contribute too. But anyway, so the point here is, like, I never just, like, set something to, like, stun people to death. That's not what I do. Like, my Labyrinth deck is very, like, back and forth. And I know this because I lose using Labyrinth all the time. If I was, like, the type of person who was just 100% unfair, you better believe I'd play every floodgate that I could get my hands on, but I don't. It's just kind of like, you can play around me if you know what you're doing. Absolutely. It's, as a matter of fact, it's the interaction that I love about this game.
Right.
It's true. And, like, most of my decks are mid-range. Like, look at the decks I play. I play Marincess. I play Exosister. I play Tri-Brigade. I play, well, Flu arguably could be, like, one of my most what-the-heck decks. But, like, I think that's just a symptom of the deck itself. That's not precisely in the way that I built it. Flu's just kind of one of those decks that does a lot of, like, Are there other cards you feel offended at? That's a good question, Gargoyle. Dare, what are cards that you feel offended when your opponent plays?
I don't feel offended when my opponent plays any cards. I feel offended when Konami bans the one card that allows me to deal with the other cards.
Dare, Mystic Mine doesn't let anyone...
We should have got Mystic Mine off the fucking ban list. It should have came back to 3.
Gargoyle, I'm offended at Mystic Mine.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, like, there's very few cards that I have, like...
You didn't even get a chance to play against Mystic Mine when you came up here, and it was legal.
Well...
I spared you from a, 30-minute game, which you would have lost.
Yeah.
Because I am a benevolent friend.
I feel like Konami banned Mystic Mine, and you've just hated the game ever since.
I haven't played the game in,
since Mystic Mine was banned?
4 or 5 months. When was Mystic Mine banned?
It was banned quite a bit ago. Well, new news for me. I suppose would be comboing in fighting games, so I could eventually target Bard on the Switch Live. Oh, neat. There is some fighting game things later in the slideshow, but what fighting...
December 1st, 2022. So it's been almost a year.
Yeah, it's been almost a year, and I feel
the meta's been shit ever since.
The meta was shit with Mystic Mine Dare. People were Sky Strikering Mystic Mine.
It was fair and balanced.
It
With
really
Mystic Mine,
wasn't. When
you could
everybody's
play
playing
literally
Mystic Mine,
any. You could play literally any deck with
and all of
Mystic
them would
Mine.
lose to Mystic Mine.
Yeah, because you're playing against Mystic Mine. You're playing Mystic Mine against Mystic Mine. You're going to lose to Mystic Mine if you
Exactly.
lose, but you're not going to lose because you're going to win
That's a
because
degenerate
you know how to
card.
play Mystic Mine.
Okay. The point of the matter is, I don't like. I don't generally find myself offended at any card unless it just either generates too much advantage or it just stops your opponent from playing altogether. Mystic Mine is an example. Um,
It doesn't stop you from playing. You just have to not
yes,
be
it
stupid
does.
and stop some. Okay, it stops you from playing if you lack the brain cells to realize that I don't summon more monsters now, but a lot of people fail to realize that, and they just keep summoning more monsters. And then you just sit there and you're like, well, I guess Cauldron of the Old Man? Question mark.
Yeah, see, so like
And
while
then
you're
you
not
win.
summoning more monsters and your opponent is forced to stop enacting their game plan, you're just sitting back and letting them burn to death.
Yeah, because that's their problem. They messed up, not me.
No, that is terrible. I don't like it. Um, I would say that like skill drain used to be an issue for me pretty early on, but like I don't know, lately it's okay. Like it doesn't bother me as much. I guess a lot of my effects activate in hand now, so and I've kind of shifted towards playing. Like whenever I shifted towards playing Labyrinth, skill drain really doesn't hurt me any. Because a lot of my effects are trap based. Like sure, I I still use like monster effects and sometimes, like getting like my Ariana negated whenever I needed it to search like the trap card. It doesn't feel good, but like you can still kind of play, like it's not like it stops. And plus, it's not like Eldritch or Guru, like we said in the past, where like oh well, here we are, we're playing like this deck that can just spam 4 floodgates and then just kind of sit back and smack you little by little, right? So we're not doing that. This one's kind of like all right, think carefully. What is your opponent doing right now, and how do you stop them from doing it? And I feel like that level of interaction is something that I really, really enjoy. So yeah, like that is the way that we are. Dare
Hon-
disagrees, and he is
I
free
mean,
to.
honestly, like the only cards that like are like infuriating are the ones that like Imperial Order that they just lock you out of being able to use spell cards.
Yeah,
Like that's BS.
yeah,
You shouldn't like lock your opponent out of being able to do something like use a spell, because that's 1/3 of the cards, and people don't use traps. So like you're basically left with monsters.
right,
But like that got banned because it was really strong and it
right,
needed to be banned.
right.
And that's like I don't agree with those types of cards.
I'm 100% with you. That is the type of card that I would say probably not my favorite. Um, there are such things as like that I'm on the fence
I'm
about.
really upset with you, Bird,
Why?
because you didn't see the hypocrisy in that.
In what?
That my favorite card's Mystic Mine, and I'm saying get rid of a card that locks you out of stuff. It's,
Well, but
I'm
there's
literally
a
like
difference.
feeding you meme.
Yeah, I know, but like there's a
No,
difference
because
though.
Mystic
Like
Mine locks you out of monsters, and IO locks you out of spells. They're locking you out of the game no matter what.
yes, exactly. So
Just
like the difference
free
here is
food for you.
well, yeah, exactly. But see, the difference here is you said I like Mystic Mine. So when you said I
Oh, that's
don't
my
like,
favorite card.
when you said I don't like Imperial Order, I can't disagree with that because that's
I
us.
said I don't like cards like Imperial Order that lock you out of like a portion of the game.
Right,
Like
and that
I made
that's
sure that I said it as hypocritically as possible, so I could give you some kind of like it was bait.
I know,
You're
but
supposed to
the
take the
the
bait.
thing is like I didn't need to take the bait because I don't disagree with what you said. Like I
Oh,
don't like cards like Imperial
okay,
Order. Yeah, you're
you
right.
heard it here, folks. Bring back IO. Bring back Mystic Mine. Bird
Do
wants it.
not. Absolutely do not. But
You know,
also,
Imperial Reaper would prevent Mystic Mind from blowing itself up.
mm, that's interesting. I don't like it. But what was I gonna say is, how do you feel about cards like Masterpiece, for example? Like that
Eh,
you could make them immune to a huge amount of like cards just by virtue of resolving their effects.
I don't know. With like with like trap decks, seeing some play now,
Mm-hmm.
I, it could probably be let back at some like capacity, but at the same time, it's like
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like Draco Slayer has a couple of traps that they could use for the sake of the summon of Masterpiece.
Masterpiece isn't that bad. What's he even do?
He makes himself
He does
immune to a
nothing.
whole
He
bunch of
does nothing is what he does. Put him back at 3.
yeah, in case you haven't figured it out yet, audience, Dare is being contrarian just to give me a hard time. But anyway, speaking of card games, I played some One Piece the other day. It was cool. You know, got it's got a pretty decent back and forth. Structure deck's kind of solid, even though it kind of has a lot of vanillas in it. The resources are in the extra deck, and you get two of them every turn, which is nice. You know, the longer the game lasts, the
That's
more stuff you can do.
I refuse to start another card game because like people want me to start One Piece. They want me to start Flesh and Blood. There's some other card game that people have been like playing recently. It's like I don't want to.
But you're
I don't
playing
want to
White
play.
Schwartz.
Yeah, I've played that for like a year and a half or 2 years now.
Hmm? Yeah, I saw that
So
you were building a
I don't
deck.
want to. I
You
don't want to
tweeted about
start
it.
a new card game.
Yeah, starting a new
I'm not
card game's
gonna.
kind of tough. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's like building a deck on Weiss Schwartz is different than starting fresh with like One Piece or Flesh and Blood or something.
I played Flesh and Blood. It was fun. You know, I liked it.
I played it twice because one of the friends I have at locals was like, "Hey, sit down. I'm going to teach you how to play this." I was like, "No one else is playing anything right now, so sure."
Yeah,
It's kind of like Magic, but it's different because your dudes can be lands, and it, I don't know. It's cool. It's different. It's
yeah,
special.
it's pretty cool. I mean, so is One Piece, really. I mean, like it's
I will say the artwork on the cards are pretty cool.
on Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, I've
I agree.
I've looked at some of the. I'm not really a huge fan of like the One Piece art that they have.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's
it's.
like the anime or if it's like the actual cards or
I mean,
it feels empty to me.
the anime artwork was always a little controversial. Like a lot of people don't really like a lot of people like the barrier to entry to One Piece is that the art looks silly. And
Yeah,
the card artwork isn't always like anime styled, like the style from the manga or the anime. A lot of the times it looks like they hire some artists to do like their own rendition of these characters, and it looks pretty clean. But like if you're drawing like a silly One Piece character in a different art style, it's still a silly One Piece character, So there is that, and I can understand that. Like people have like their opinions of this card game, and I get it. Or I'm sorry, of this anime, and I understand. Like for me, barrier to entry was how silly it was too. So um, changed my mind ever since. But here we are. Anyway, it's got a pretty decent back and forth. The longer the game runs, the more you can do, which is cool. Um, Here's something that's it's a weird hybrid between Commander, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh. Because as of Commander, like I know I've discussed this in the past, but you basically have a card that is your leader. Your leader determines how much life you have and what color cards you can use. Um, and there are cards that activate in your hand to be treated as counters for when your opponent attacks. So basically, you treat them like honest, or like
Yeah.
Blackwing Kalut the Moonshadow. They basically buff the attack of whatever's being attacked. And lastly, you do have mana like you would in Magic, but your mana, if it's untapped and you're not using it for anything else, you can equip it to one of your characters as an equip spell to buff their attack power. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Equip spells are good
yeah.
in most games that I play.
Oh, speaking of, let's go back to the Yosenju thing. I lost to a Lyraless deck, and I'm mad at it because the thing is, this guy bricked so hard, and so did I, and like ultimately, like his win strategy was assembled Nightingale with Mask of Brutality. Mad at that. Anyway,
Mask of Brutality
yeah,
is what he used to kill you.
yeah, like he equipped it with Mask of. Let me double
And
check.
instead of the Psychic Sword or whatever it's called.
Yes. Instead, I think that the reason why is because this is like a rare, so it's not like particularly
Oh,
hard to get. So yeah, like the one that it gains 1,000 attack and loses 1,000 defense. Yeah, so like if he can make it with 5 materials, he can just swing for
the
game basically.
the Psychic Sword that I'm thinking of can give like 2,000 attack and defense.
I see, I see. So yeah, it's
So
basically like two of the same thing, right? It's just like the difference is this one's like a lot easier to craft. And like I guess that's something to be said about events on Master Duel is that sometimes they can just kind of devolve into like who can build the biggest troll deck, right? Because like the meta isn't here, so like what develops whenever there isn't like a particular threat that everybody is building to defeat is everybody just falls back to like, hey, what can I do to annoy my opponent? Like every deck is running Torrential Tribute, Solemn Judgment, and other things like that, and I'm just like, oh my god. So
I mean, you can blame Konami for getting rid of the self TK bots
yeah,
for all the events.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. I feel like I know a card game in that system, says Gargoyle. What card game do you know in that system? I would like to know because I felt like it was pretty unique. Kind of fun. It's not as fast as Yu-Gi-Oh, which sometimes bothers me, but because I like being able to play cards out of my hand without having to pay any cost, just as long as I meet their conditions. And this is just kind of like one of those that it's like it's a healthy in between because it's like you
I like
don't.
Mystic Mine.
Yeah, yeah, here we are again. But like it's a healthy in between in that you, for example, I played Magic this past week, right? I actually played like some Magic with a friend, and I won like I won one game because everything went according to plan. Like this, I'm playing red. Red likes to come out swinging, likes to do a lot of damage, stay low to the ground with a very low mana curve. So like everything you have is like a 1 or 2 drop, 4 if you're feeling spicy. But like that's really about it. And the thing that made me lose one of so I lost one because his deck was just better, and then I lost the third one because everything that I kept drawing was mana, and that is so frustrating because it's like this is something that can happen in this game, right? You can get mana flooded. In One Piece, that's kind of removed from the equation because it's like, yeah, you'll never get mana flooded. You can have a maximum of 10 mana, and every turn you get 2 for free. That it's part of your standby phase. So you will get a lot of mana eventually. So like at this point, it's just basically when do you play your cards to get maximum efficiency out of them, and I thought that was cool. And also, I appreciated that like it wasn't possible for me to draw something that couldn't be played or like that would end up being dead in my hand. Like if I had drawn mana for the past 3 turns and I drew another mana, that means I still can't do anything. So I appreciated that about it. I thought it was kind of cool. I'm still like new at the game, so I don't know. Like I feel like I'm gonna lose a lot before I get any good. Yeah. It's past.
Yu-Gi-Oh would be better if they had a Weiss Schwarz mulligan system.
Hey.
I'm just gonna start throwing out the random thoughts that come to my head.
So you draw your starting hand of 5, and then you can put any card that you want that you don't want into the graveyard and draw that many.
I feel like in Yu-Gi-Oh, you would have to banish them face down.
Be great. No, graveyard, just like Weiss Schwarz.
No, because there are cards that activate in the graveyard.
Yeah, but you're sent. This would be essentially sending them, so they wouldn't activate if they're like.
Doesn't matter.
This card is destroyed.
It doesn't matter because there are some, like for example, Scareclaw Arrival, that if I decide, oh yeah, I can just put that in my graveyard, like it doesn't have to activate when I put it there. It has to activate whenever my Scareclaw Tryhard would be destroyed. Is it in my graveyard? Yes, I can activate it now. Which is why I'm like, this would work great if they were banished face down, because now you can't interact with them.
No, because then you would lose resources. Then.
Oh no! Like
if you do it like Weiss Schwarz, it'd be fine.
Well, what's this? I drew a breakthrough skill. Well, I can't use that now. Well, let me mulligan by putting this in my graveyard and just draw something else. Oh, hey, 3 turns later, guess what? I can turn off one of my opponent's effects because I have a breakthrough skill in my graveyard.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to discard this Cuckoo Clock, this Welcome Labyrinth, this other Welcome Labyrinth, and I'm gonna just set 5 pass.
Oh, what's this? I have to discard my what is it? My Harpor, like my symbol skeleton. I
think you caught on. That's a good idea.
It's a terrible idea.
You guys heard it here first. Bart agrees that Yu-Gi-Oh needs
100% do not. That is a terrible. Like, I'm sure it works great for Weiss Schwarz, but like it certainly would not work at all for Yu-Gi-Oh. It's terrible.
Well, I mean, you can't deck out in Weiss Schwarz, so putting stuff in the graveyard, it'll just get shuffled back once you deck out.
Right.
That would be like the thing that you wouldn't do it because you deck out.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean,
just you'd mulligan your cards and then you'd be like, oh no, I'm gonna deck out.
I'm just saying, like if it were like, we're banishing them face down, I'm all for it. Yeah, a mulligan that way, fantastic. Like, oh, I drew some of my garnets and now I can't play. Great. You're right that there are decks that could benefit from this a lot more than others. Like, for example, Labyrinth is a good example. I'm putting all of my furniture in the graveyard. Those recycle themselves to the hand and field. So like, I absolutely let me put my my Coup Clock, my Stovey, and my Chandraglier in the graveyard, and let me just draw 3 traps off the top. That's terrible. Like,
it'd be great.
No, absolutely not.
I could see it being like the Master Rule 5 that we get.
The
Master Rule 5 that we need.
There would be. I feel like
that would a lot of really, really good matches.
I feel like that would ultimately be the thing that made Konami face the music. Speaking of music, what are your favorite bands, Dare? Like, we have, just for some context, I ran across this tweet that says, hey, if you see this tweet, list your 10 favorite bands in no particular order.
I recognize off your list Skillet, Foo Fighters, Linkin Park, and Shinedown.
Okay. Well, the rest of them are kind of obscure. Like,
four out of 6 would lead me to agree with you.
Yeah, so like, well, I mean, I say obscure, but what I mean is they're probably not in genres that you personally enjoy. So, for example, Beast in Black and Battle Beast are, metal. Let's see, Assuming We Survive is kind of like an indie rock band that I actually think you might enjoy. But I heard them because they were the opening act in a different band that I went to see. So, like, it's like they haven't they haven't reached like mainstream popularity, is what it is. Fratellis is like a rock band from Ireland, I think. Mana is a rock band from South America, I believe. Asian Kung Fu Generation is a rock band from Asia, I think. Those guys are from Japan. So you see what I'm saying? Like a lot of like my, as a matter of fact, come to think about it, my music's from all over the world. Because Beast in Black, I know that the lead singer is Greek. I don't know if the rest of the band is from there. I know Battle Beast is from Europe. Where specifically, I don't know. Assuming We Survive is American, so I mean there's that. But like the Fratellis from Ireland, Mana from South America, Asian Kung Fu Generation from Japan. So I kind of have like a really worldly list here.
Okay,
Uh huh.
it's cool.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
So tell me yours.
What are we gonna consider like favorite?
Like I don't know, a band that you like. Say for example that you own one of their albums and you can listen to every song and not dislike a single one. Like you don't, they don't have to all be your favorites, but you could listen to it and it wouldn't bother you.
It's technically not a band, but the Fat Rat is one that I could do that too.
Yeah, the Fat Rat.
It's maybe Unlike Pluto.
Unlike
maybe
Pluto's
Eight
good.
Grooves.
I like Unlike Pluto. Yeah,
Yeah, we've discussed that one before
we have. Yeah,
on multiple previous, because he's been putting out new music.
yeah.
Gorillas, maybe.
Oh, I like the
That's
Gorillas.
4.
They are pretty good.
Poor Man's Poison. I'm literally looking through my iTunes at the artist and being like, could I listen to their shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor Man's Poison.
Never heard of that one.
If you know the TikTok song "Hell's Coming with Me,"
No.
there's like, "I'm the righteous hand of God."
Nope.
I swear, if you listen to it, you would be like, "Oh yeah, it's
Probably.
because
that's probably true.
it was like the song of the year last year or the year before."
Oh, really?
But they're folk rock.
Okay. I get down with some folk rock. Yeah, I like that.
Maybe Rammstein.
Oh, Rammstein is something that somebody commented on my tweet, and I was like, wow, I haven't heard them in forever. Like, I used to get down with some Rammstein back in like high school, dude. Like that, they were pretty awesome back then.
That was the only concert that I've ever went to.
Oh,
Was when they were
really?
in Chicago.
Interesting.
Me and a friend went up and watched it, and I have never felt so out of place.
Not at concerts, not your scene.
Oh no, not a. You have seen me. There was not another person in that crowd that looked like me or my friend.
No.
Like,
Well, yeah.
we
In
were
a
sore
Rammstein
thumbs.
concert, I kind of assume, yeah. Oh
I
man.
think that's 5, right?
That's 5.
That's 5.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, I guess maybe the Hollow Live crew would be 6.
Yeah. No, yeah, that fits. That fits.
I
They're
could cheat.
technically idols.
I could cheat and just name off like my 5 favorites, but I feel like, well, that it would be cheating.
I mean, could be.
I know the next one that I want, but the Dead South. That's a.
Oh, Dead South is so good. Have you ever heard The Devil Makes 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, they remind me a lot of the Dead South.
I could see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think YouTube like recommends those whenever I'm listening to Dead South on YouTube.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
We're slowly getting there.
Yeah, you just got like a few more entries. In the meantime, let me read a couple of the ones.
Finger Death Punch. Maybe?
Oh, 5-Finger Death Punch. Interesting. Okay.
So we're at 8. Just
Okay.
need 2 more.
Two
Just
more.
2 more.
You can do this. I believe in you.
I can do this. I've had to go back to the top, and I'm slowly going back through.
You're doing the exact same thing that I did. I was like, okay, well, which one of these bands could I just like listen to a whole album and not skip a single song?
I'm gonna
And
say number 10 is gonna be Jim Johnston,
never
because
heard of.
there are songs that he's made that I can't like, I don't like,
Mm-hmm.
but for the longest time he was the like main person that worked on all the WWE intro songs
Oh,
for
I see.
wrestlers.
I gotcha.
Uh, Fuck it, KDA.
You know what? Yeah, I'll take KDA. KDA was almost on my list. I dropped it because I was like, oh, KDA or
Oh wait, no, I'm gonna remove Jim Johnston for Knife Party. I like Knife
oh,
Party
Knife
better than
Party
Jim
is pretty
Johnston.
good. Oh, you know what? Like, shoot,
There we
what
go.
what is the name of that one group? Ninja Sex Party. I can't believe I didn't think about them. Uh, but yeah. Okay.
I'm glad that I was able to remind you of that question mark.
Have you never heard of Ninja Sex Party? They're pretty great.
I, the name sounds familiar, but I
Yeah,
don't recognize it.
they're basically do like like not parody, but kind of like they're like a rock band, but like their songs are kind of silly. Like they kind of like YouTube celebrity rock stars. You know what I'm saying? Like their songs caught on because they were purposefully silly and kind of weird and not mainstream at all. But like the YouTube crowd ate it up.
I'll agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Good. Yeah.
some bands noted in the chat. Royal Gargoyle likes Metallica. Wilo likes Goldfinger. I've never heard of Goldfinger unless we're talking about like the James Bond villain.
I actually think, what's the song that they sing? Because I've heard of them before.
Couldn't hear them, Bard. They're ninjas. Yeah. If these guys are ninjas, they're the worst ninjas that ever existed.
99 Red Balloons. That's one that they sing.
99 Red Balloons. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I know the song,
I was
but
like, I know I've heard them before. I have the Stomping Ground CD from them.
I see. Well, for our listeners on the
that's what 99 Red Balloons is on.
I gotcha. For the podcast listeners, since they can't see the slide, my favorites are Beast in Black, Skillet, Foo Fighters, Assuming We Survive, The Fratellis, Mana, Asian Kung Fu Generation, Linkin Park, Shinedown, and Battle Beast. Of these, I've seen Skillet in concert the most. I think I've seen Skillet in concert like 5 or 6 times. Usually whenever they come to like my town in Texas. And the reason why is because their concert tickets don't cost a lot ever. Like they're usually pretty cheap. And because of that,
it's a Christian rock band.
Right.
They don't want to charge people a lot.
No, they don't. And so like I've gotten into Skillet concerts for as little as $10, So every time I go, Skillet comes to town, I'm like, you know what? They put on a great show. They have great energy. So like if I have the time, I go watch them. Why not? I think the furthest I ever drove was like an opposite, like I think I drove like maybe 150 some odd miles to go see them because they were in an adjacent city, but like the concert tickets were still super cheap. So I was like, you know what? I could drive to Dallas for a night to watch Skillet. So it's pretty good. Let's see. That being said, the one that put on like just the best concert, like it was just like wow, was Mana. Like these guys, like okay, the concert tickets on this one were not cheap. They were expensive. And I went with a group, but holy cow, was that concert lit, fam. It was like, oh my god, like you left and I mean like it was just, that was an experience and I freaking loved it. It was excellent. But yeah, so like we're interested to hear what you guys' favorite bands are. If you got them, let us know. And speaking of music, hey Dare, what video game would you say has the best music that you've played? Just gonna put you on the spot here.
Fuck off. Like, oh god damn it. To see it's like a shitty question because there's so
It
many
is.
really good quotes. I think it's gotta be like
I gotta tell you,
like
this one did not come easy.
Undertale has a really good soundtrack. Its OST is really good.
Yeah.
To the Moon has a really good OST. It's by far probably one of my favorites.
Okay.
Crypt of the Necro Dancer has a really good OST. You're stupid if you don't think Doom, the like Doom games have good OSTs.
Right.
Like Doom Eternal and 2016 are both just fucking phenomenal. Mick Gordon's. I could have put Mick Gordon on that list honestly because I like blast the fucking Doom OST at work on Spotify and whatnot.
Yeah. Dude, this could be a long list, absolutely. So I mean, like, for me, I
all of the Fallout games.
You know what, Fallout is a good one. Yes,
they're not like original soundtracks, but like
no,
all of the Fallout games have.
But
really
they have a good
playlists.
Exactly. They have good playlists
because it's like the songs that were picked are specifically for
the region.
That, and it works really well.
Right. It's why which was the one that had like John Denver like in the trailer for that reason.
It's John, or it wasn't. It wasn't Denver's version of Country Road. It was some other guys, but that was 76.
Yeah.
Which I think 76 would be the exception. It has a good soundtrack to it, but like its soundtrack doesn't match the game because you have Wouldn't It Be Nice by the Beach Boys. It's like, why is that in here?
You have a question in the chat there.
What?
Gargoyle. Yeah, you have a question. Gargoyle asks, have you ever heard of Mad Rat Dead Dare? I don't know if that's
locked in a room with rats.
Damn it.
A rubber room with rats.
If you two work together to put together this setup, I
was crazy once. No, I haven't heard of that.
No, I haven't either. Like, I guess it's a band.
Unless that's the we're rats. We're the rats.
Gargoyle insists, no, it's real. It's a real thing. I'm serious. But like, if it wasn't real and that was a setup, it was the smoothest setup I've ever fallen for because I didn't even think about what it was. I was like, but all of the titles that you mentioned are like really good ones. Now Undertale is one that I hear all the time. Like their music shows up everywhere.
If you type in Undertale right now on YouTube, the first thing that I can guarantee you comes up is Undertale Megalovania.
Yeah.
Okay, it's actually Undertale Reacts for me, but Megalovania is on the list. So
right.
Shut up.
Yeah, and Fallout. I didn't consider Fallout because you're right. It is kind of like a more of a playlist than it is a soundtrack. But yeah, also good. I don't know. Like I had a hard time like picking a few. I mean, I listed some in here, but honestly, this list could go on. I really enjoyed the soundtrack and The Legend of Dragoon. Out of all the Mega Man X titles, Mega Man X3 I felt had the best music. Maybe a Pokemon title. Honestly, Sonic the Hedgehog has some really dope tracks.
What makes it good is just whether or not you remember it right. Because like I can go through my Steam library here, and if I look at something like Starbound, I can't tell you what the music in Starbound is like because it didn't make an impression on me. But there's like a couple indie games up here called Linked in Line, which it's just really simple puzzle game. And the music in it is very fitting for it being a simple puzzle game. It's simple, it's relaxing, it's like bright and cheery,
Yeah,
calming in a way.
it's yeah, I think that you're 100% right that like what makes a video game soundtrack good is if you can remember it. And honestly, like if we're just measuring it by which one just like pops into my head rent free every time that like I'm not choosing to actively think about it, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and 3 is probably the one that I think about the most. Uh, the Chemical Plant theme song, freaking excellent.
Do, 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 do,
Exactly.
do.
Uh,
Do, 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 do.
yeah, the
Do, 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 do,
boss
do, do,
music
do, do, do,
also
do.
excellent. I mean, like just it's one that like without even thinking, like I'm like I can remember. Like if you mentioned a zone, you're like, hey, do you remember the theme music for the Hilltop
Was that
Zone?
the chemical plant zone? Because I'm doubting myself
No,
now.
that is 100% right. Yes, you nailed it. Uh,
I've not played that game since I was like probably 10.
yeah,
So that's 20 years ago, and I still remember it.
yeah, it is an excellent soundtrack, dude. Like it is so good. So like that's Hilltop. Gargoyle knows the Hilltop theme by heart, and it's kind of exactly what I'm trying to say here is like if you mention any Sonic the Hedgehog 2 or 3 zone and you ask me, hey, do you remember the theme for this zone? I'm like, oh, abso-freaking-lutely. Like like I don't even have to think about it. I'm like, I know it. But yeah, like off the top of my head, just like Chemical Plant is a banger. Flying Battery is a really good one. Sky Sanctuary, super good. I love it. So yeah, like it's. I feel like I couldn't think about it whenever I was putting the slide together, but ultimately, yeah, that's the one that I feel like has the best music, in my opinion, at least.
I really want to say Dota, but at the same time, because like there's very few games that I'll listen to the in-game music to.
hmm
Dota is one of the few games that I will listen to the in-game music because it's kind of like strategic and kind of not.
hmm
Because I mean, I like the music, but at the same time, like if you're getting attacked, it's going to change to, oh shit, you're getting attacked and everything.
Yeah, yeah,
So, uh, and it's not just like the default Dota
yeah.
music because they've had collaborations with other artists. Like I think they have a JJ Lin uh, music pack. They have a Fat Rat music pack. They had AWOL Nation.
Like they had a
Like
fat rack, and I was like, "Dare, why?"
there are a lot of very busty
Oh no! Please stop.
Dota 2 heroes. Have you ever seen Pudge?
Why?
The guy's got tits out to here.
I. All of these are things I wish I hadn't heard.
There are things I wish I didn't say, but I can't take it back now because it's on the internet.
Yikes! Oh my goodness. Okay. So is it safe to say that you're one of those gamers that as you turn on a game, you just have like Spotify running in the background or something?
It depends on the game.
Mm.
Because like I said, with they had a Dead Mouse music pack too.
Oh, I love Dead Mouse. Dead Mouse is so good. I've loved Dead Mouse for a long time, dude. Like I liked them back when they were a live mouse.
Fat Racks. That's all I'm looking at here on Dota. Fat Racks.
Oh Lord.
But yeah, it depends on the game. Like there's certain games that I could like. I'm not gonna listen. I love the RuneScape soundtrack,
mm-hmm.
but I'm not gonna listen to it while I'm playing RuneScape.
Mm.
That's one of those things that if I'm just bored at work and I don't know what to listen to, I'll put Steve Shanty 2 on and
Yeah.
do my work.
Yeah.
Which I mean, we could put RuneScape and old school RuneScape on there too, because you have old school RuneScape's 1,000 some songs that are like nostalgic 8-bit music, and then you have RuneScape, which has like orchestral remakes of all of them.
Right.
They made over 1,000 songs for this game, Bard.
Holy cow, that is massive.
I I can.
That's
actually
almost as
check real
massive as
quick.
the racks in Dota.
It's pretty massive. Yeah. There's like one song per rack.
Oh no.
They actually a couple years ago released a music video on the RuneScape channel called "The Book of 1,000 Songs" for their hitting 1,000 soundtracks in their game, which they had a couple where it's like they had I think it was a Black Sabbath collab
Oh
that they
wow.
did. It was for like one of their Halloween events.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That's pretty cool. I like that. I like it whenever like popular bands do collaborations with like video game IPs, especially if it's because they are.
If it makes sense, yes.
Yeah, you're right. If it makes sense, absolutely. Like for example, Imagine Dragons almost feels synonymous with League of Legends at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they did Warriors that one year for Worlds.
Yeah.
And they were just like, oh, that was like their big breakout song.
Yeah, it feels like
in
it
my
was.
opinion,
Yeah.
because they got
Radioactive was popular, but yeah, yeah.
But they collaborated with one of the biggest games at the time in like the competitive scene that everybody was like. People didn't really tune into Dota unless you were like already into like professional gaming.
Right.
People didn't really tune into like professional CS:GO or anything, but like everybody, like casual players to like people who don't even fucking know what League is, were watching Worlds, and that the like theme song for Worlds that one year was Imagination Dragons.
Imagination Dragons.
RuneScape, by the way, has 1,357 unique soundtracks.
Snap, that is a lot. That is a lot.
It is.
I agree.
Soundtracks.
I agree with you when you say that it has to make sense. And Imagine Dragons did Warriors, but they also did the theme song for Arcane.
Yeah.
Enemy.
I don't remember what it's called.
Enemy. Yeah. But like there are weird ones that it's like this feels like it was like it didn't fit. Like for example, like the latest Pokemon game, Scarlet and Violet, the ending theme to that was a song by Ed Sheeran, and it's like, why this? Like everybody was like, oh,
I can do you one better.
Hit me with
it. Dead Mouse being in Dota.
I
like his music. His music's pretty good,
right?
But it does not fit Dota.
I wouldn't know. To me, Dota looks like League of Legends, which I guess if I'm comparing it like that, then yeah, I feel like it would be weird, going through your lanes in League of Legends while Dead Mouse is blaring. So yeah. No, I feel like you're right about that.
Yeah, there's a couple collabs of just like, why is this in here?
Oh god, DJ Khaled when he showed up at like the Overwatch
League. DJ Khaled, what?
I remember when he showed up to like do a musical number at an Overwatch event, and everybody was so underwhelmed. Like, they're like, we don't know who you are, and I was like,
that what you're describing is how Dead Mouse was at the International, because they released this. I don't remember if it was 2018 or 2017. It was one of the internationals, and Valve was like, if we get this stretch goal, we'll have a special guest that shows up, and the special guest will be super awesome, and it's so cool because we're doing cool things because we're Valve. And they released during the International, they released the Dead Mouse music pack, and everyone's like, oh, it's Dead Mouse, that's cool, I guess. What's he have to do with this? And then at the end of the International, like as everyone's wrapping up, they're like, and now we're gonna have a special guest performance from Dead Mouse, and he starts playing like his music, and everyone's just kind of like standing
Everyone's,
there.
yeah, just super whelmed, right?
They're just like standing there, like, uh, are we
Like,
supposed to dance to this, or
dude,
was supposed to? I'm just gonna like get my bags and go home, bro.
do we cheer? Are we excited for this? What's happening? I don't know. I've never heard music before.
That's exactly how it was. It was just so awkward and weird, and it's like, Valve, why? Please stop. Please stop,
Yeah,
Valve.
it's almost like, like a granddaddy Valve trying to relate to the younger generation, right? And it's
I
like,
was
oh,
gonna say it was like Gabe Newell was like, I'm still hip. I know what the kids like. They like Dead Mouse. It's like,
right.
Gabe, we would have rather you came out and sang to us than this. But
Yeah,
thanks, I guess.
yes. It's same thing with the DJ Khaled dude. It was almost like, wow, like you could tell that they were really trying to cater to that young crowd, but I feel like they missed. So I don't know. Like I feel like the only company that like really knocks it out of the park most of the time, like at this point, I would say they have like a 95% win rate, is Riot. Because every time Riot drops a new track, people eat that shit up. Like it is just,
Riot understands their audience at this
yeah.
point,
Uh huh.
and that's I can say like a lot of different games understand their audience. Valve understands their audience at this point.
Mm.
Um, RuneScape, Jagex, they're working on it. It's only been 25 years. They're still working on it. Uh, they've actually gotten really good with like customer support and all
Right.
that recently, because they recently changed their battle pass, their seasonal battle pass,
Mm.
and most big companies would be like, "This is how it is now. We listened to your feedback," which they didn't.
Mm.
So this is how it is now. Have fun. But there was a lot of backlash, and Jagex was like, "Okay, well, we'll actually listen to what you're saying,
Mm.
and we'll make changes."
Right.
But yeah, once the company finds their like clientele and what their clients like, they're usually pretty good about like keeping their clients happy.
Yeah, and no, like I said, nobody seems to like knock it out of the park quite as much as Riot. On
Yeah,
the
because
other end of the
Riot figured it out really quick.
Yeah, they did. Absolutely. On the other side of the spectrum, Blizzard, it seems like they're sticking their fingers in their ear and just going, la 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 la, la, can't hear you.
Yeah, Blizzard, they're they're doing something there.
Oh, those guys love to shoot themselves in the foot at this point. It's just like,
They're just over there like, hey guys, I know we promised you this, but at the same time, you can go fuck yourself because
yeah.
money.
They certainly know how to run a video game company, don't they? But speaking of video games, there, just kind of like the thing to kind of close off. I kind of wanted to pick your mind about this. Which Yu-Gi-Oh archetype do you think would make a cool video game spin-off? I kind of got this idea whenever we were talking about Song of Nunu and Bandle Tale from Riot, where I was like, they love to spin off like, like elements of their lore into into like different games, right? And I was like, I would love to see Yu-Gi-Oh kind of do the same thing, and they've kind of done like the Sky Striker manga, like, and that's cool,
Yeah.
But like instead of like being like, hey, what do we adapt into a manga or an anime? What about like what would make a cool video game?
That's a good question,
I listed a few here that I think would.
because I saw you had Sky or Exo Sister. It really depends on the lore and like what type of game you're gonna make,
Oh,
because
Exo Sister would 100% be like Devil May Cry.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like, honestly, you could take like two rivaling. You could do like Sword Soul, and then Scareclaw and I don't remember who Despia or whatever the like rivaling groups for that lore
Mm.
was, and make like a fighting type game.
Yeah, true. Like
You
for
could
the
do like
Abyss lore.
a side scroller. It but it'd just be it depends on like the lore of
Right.
the archetype and
So what I have here is I thought World Legacy would make like a really dope JRPG.
yeah,
You
that'd
know,
be like a Final Fantasy RPG esque.
exactly like a Final Fantasy. I wanted Fluanderies like Flappy Bird. You remember Flappy Bird?
Yeah, the dude that made like a very simple app that ended up getting him death threats because it was so popular.
Yeah. Why? I don't understand people.
People are stupid.
Yeah. No
That's all
kidding.
you have to know is people are stupid.
Right. But I think Fluanderies as Flappy Bird would be hilarious. Or I don't know if you've ever played like the app game Tiny Wings. Uh, Same, you know. I feel like Fluanderies just is cute enough that it lends itself to like an app game. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like you would go with Angry Birds with that,
Or
like that
Angry
Angry
Birds.
Birds direction.
Sure, we could go with Angry Birds. But like the one that I really like my idea for is Exosister in a Devil May Cry type situation. You know, you have a vast world filled with like grotesque creatures from beyond the grave, from beyond the veil. And I don't know, choose your favorite Exosister duo, and you're just like executing mad combos, right? And once your gauge is fully filled, you enter into like their extra deck forms, right? So like, you know, are you playing as Ellis? Well, now you're Michaelis. Are you playing as Stella? Well, now you're Caspatel, or whichever one she is. You know, and you know, like you have like a short duration where your attacks do more damage. You have different combos. You have like a super finishing move. Kind of cool. You know, like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, basically that type of game is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, the those games,
Yeah,
Bayonetta, but with
yeah.
Exo Sisters. And you yelled at me for saying Rax earlier.
For saying what?
What?
For saying rats.
I think like Ancient Gears could be like a mech pilot game,
Oh, that would be so cool.
like a kaiju versus Ancient Gears. Huh?
Yes. Oh, that's so cool. I like the sound of that. That is dope. That actually would be kind of fantastic. Um,
Oh, even Mystic Mind the game.
you know, I don't hate it, but I'll tell you why. I feel like it would
You
make
have to figure out how to get out of the Mystic Mind.
get figure out how to get out of the mystic mind, right? So I kind of picture it like being like the Legend of Zelda like puzzles, but like, you know, like for example, like the different Breath of the Wild shrines, just like one after the other, right? Make it like a tower with 100 levels, and each level is a different puzzle that, you know, you need to figure out how to get out of. Uh,
It'd be more like Spooky's House of Jump Scares, where you keep going up in levels, but there's no end.
right.
You never get out of Mystic Mind.
What was I gonna say? There was. I'm trying to figure out one that would make for a good platformer, and I can't picture like something that has that look. You know, like I know that these types of cards should exist somewhere, but like a good platformer,
Well, I was thinking like Exo Sisters being like the old Castlevania games
yeah, like that too.
almost.
Yeah,
That's a platformer.
that's true too. You're very right. Like a Metroidvania type thing. Yeah. Um.
Uh, um,
Obviously, FA's racing game.
oh yeah, FA would be like Hydro Thunder or whatever.
Right. Um,
You have the UAs would just be Madden.
UAs are just Madden with extra rules. Shoot. What's the other thing that I was thinking? Um, Rescue Ace. I don't know. Like,
Valence. Well, Rescue Ace would be like Power Rangers kind of. I
yeah,
feel
yeah. And Valence, I feel like I know where you're going with this.
it would be 4D chess with a MOBA, with RPG, with D&D.
Yeah, Valence is already super complicated. If you make it into a video game, it'll be a mashup of different genres.
You got to play Sudoku for 3 levels straight.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking something like Purelli's Grand Adventure, you know, like a not like a Metroidvania platformer, but like one of the cute ones, you know, kind of like Banjo Kazooie or like what's the other one?
Why haven't we mentioned the adventure archetype?
Or Kirby. Oh, adventure. Yes, adventure.
Like the literal like RPG archetype, and just not even said it.
Gargoyle asks which one would be the tower defense. That's a good question.
Adamancipator, because they're all rocks.
Adamancipator, because they're all rocks. When you really kind of Subterror, maybe?
No, I wouldn't think so, Terran. I think because in essence, what is a tower defense game? You put out big towers and you make them stronger.
Right.
I don't really know if there's a Yu-Gi-Oh archetype that does that. Rock Stun, maybe.
War Rocks the game.
War Rocks the game. There you go.
Make your tribe the most unga bunga and survive the dinosaur onslaught. I don't know.
Well, I guess we're thinking about this as if like there's an archetype that does a 1-to-1,
right?
When all it has to be is you have to have an archetype with multiple different creatures that you could like say this one gets upgraded into this one.
Yeah.
You wouldn't actually have to have one that is like a. So we could do War Rocks.
Dare Spiral Among Us.
Want to go home?
Just like find the mole. Gamma says, "Did someone say War Rocks?" Yes, we did. But yeah, I figured this would be kind of a fun one. You know, like oh, dude, like what's it called? What's the name of the archetype? Symphonic Warriors Guitar Hero.
Yeah. I don't like it, but yeah.
Yeah. You know, like, or I don't know.
It'd
like,
be more like Rock Band, though, because
yeah.
Guitar Hero brought in like drums and stuff later
Eventually,
on.
eventually they did. But yeah, you know, like one of those band games with the extra peripherals. I was also thinking Solfa Chord, but Solfa Chord would be more like a karaoke game, I feel.
Yeah, Sulfur Chord would probably be more like karaoke instead of a peripheral.
Yeah. But I don't know why this question just kind of came to me like today, and I was like, "Oh, what would make a cool video game?" You know, and like I kind of figured that you might get a kick out of that question. I like your suggestions, and yeah, you know, like the
I think you like the thought of Mystic Mine. I think you're warming up to Mystic Mine.
I did like the way that you described the Mystic Mine game. Yes.
That you want Mystic Mine back at 3.
That's false. I do not.
I think we all want Mystic Mine back at 3.
I disagree, but it is something that that people are wanting, and well, that's not true. People aren't wanting Mystic Mine back. I think it's just you specifically, and maybe like 2 or 3 other Mystic Mine players.
Honestly, it's not my fault that people don't want to play the out.
I mean, that's true. Like, you know, it's hard to argue with you in one respect. It's like, you're right. You know, like if you're going up against Mystic Mine a lot, you should play the out. Why wouldn't you?
It's literally every single archetype in the meta.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you beat it is you play the out.
Exactly.
But for some reason, Mystic Mine, everyone's just like, "Oh, I don't want to play any type of back row removal because that's
Yeah,
stupid."
yeah.
It's like
Nobody wants to
you
add like.
literally are teching in a card from like 2007
Mhm.
to deal with fucking Unchained.
That's true. That's true. And
The
you're
fact that
right.
Marionette Might is like being used currently in the year of our Lord 2023 is just baffling to me.
I gotta double check. What is the price on Marionette Might these
Oh,
days?
it's because it was a common. It was a common.
I don't even remember hearing about this card. And I Marionette Might. All right. Oh, you know what? I know this card. I bet you I know that. I bet you I have this card.
Yeah, because there's in a structure deck. Um, it's in a structure deck, and there's like a couple other printings for it.
I do
But
have
it's just
this.
like,
It was in the structured in the zombie horde structure. I have this because I bought a lot of Strike and Neos.
yeah, yeah. And people were like, "Oh, this card actually gets around Unchained being able to do stuff, so let's play it."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're gonna tech that in, but you're not gonna tech in a Cosmic Cyclone for Mystic Mine.
Yeah, a
It's
cosmic
bullshit.
cyclone, a feather dust, or a lightning storm. You're right.
Well, at that time, Feather Duster wasn't like legal, so.
Right, but
But
you're 100% on the ball here. Yeah, like if we're gonna be teching for things anyway, then we might as well tech for all things, right? And
so
I
I'm
think
correct
that
about Mystic Mine.
I don't want to agree with you because Mystic Mine is one of those cards that's like extremely strong with like very little drawback. But
My
uh
my question
huh,
is: Mystic Mine worse than Neptune?
I feel like they're different. And
It's
I
not the
would,
question.
I
Yes or no?
is Mystic Mine worse than Neptune? Yes.
Okay, bring Neptune back to 3.
That's not how this works.
That's how this works.
No.
That is exactly how this works. I will prove you wrong, and then you'll be
100%
begging for
not.
Mystic Mine.
But like
You can
so
stop Neptune with Mystic Mine.
that doesn't make Mystic Mine a thing that should be off the ban list there. But so what was I gonna say is like, you know what? Because the moment you started mentioning like you know, just play the out, agreed, because like here's the thing: whenever people were playing cash, they would like play like the Book of Moon, the Book of Eclipse, whatever, and they would play like the Winged Dragon of Raw Sphere mode, get rid of all the bad stuff, right? Whenever people were playing Eldritch and stuff, like Red Reboot was everywhere, right? Like Banish decks became like really popular so that you could deal with the zombie. And just all kinds of things. So I'm like, I I'm coming around to your way of thinking in that if it's really that big of a problem, why don't you just play the out?
You heard it here, folks. Bard agrees with me. Mystic Mine back to 3.
I'm softening up on the idea. You have opened my eyes a little bit. Yes.
It's
I
just
don't
that I'm really salty about it because of how it got banned. Because
because
it
yeah.
it wouldn't have been a problem if people weren't just putting it in their deck to make it a problem.
That's true.
And this is the like only time I can remember that people have actively like put a card in their deck just to try to get it banned.
Yeah, and you're right. You're right. This was probably like the most toxic thing that Yu-Gi-Oh players as a community ever did. Was let's just make Mystic Mine so big of a problem that Konami just has to deal with it one way or another. You know. Um. So yeah, I'm coming around to your way of thinking. You're right. You know what? When you're right, you're right. Probably, just if it ever comes back out, I probably wouldn't immediately release it to 3. I think I would probably release it to 2, kind of like the way that Runic Fountain is.
I put
You know,
it at 4, honestly.
I know you would, but that's different. So like I'd probably say like at 2, probably fine. Um, Probably fine. Terraforming makes your third copy.
Terraforming makes your 3rd copy. The 3 copies of Metaforce makes your 4th, 5th, and 6th copy. your 3 Demise of the Lands makes your 7th, 8th, and 9th copy.
Right. So there's
You
ways
can
to
give
search
me
it.
1 Mystic Mine, I will have it on the field within the first, like, 10 seconds of the game.
Right. So I'm starting to think that yeah, you're probably right about this. I don't like admitting it because I don't like the card, but I'm starting to think that it's probably not as big of a deal as people made it out to be. I think it was just people, and I've mentioned this before that it feels like competitors have this tendency to just kind of like make the biggest deal out of things. Kind of like oh, I don't like a diverse meta because I don't know what to side for, and I think that's just stupid. I think like a diverse meta is one of the most exciting things there could be because I'm not going to be facing the same deck every time.
And that's
Um,
with Mystic Mine, that was what was happening, was because
was
it allowed
it?
you to play decks that weren't meta decks. A lot of people in like the tournaments were winning because they were playing like Sky Striker stuff, but like I believe that was one of the most diverse metas that we had in a while.
I don't know about that. I mean, 2020 was a pretty diverse meta. You know, like we had like all kinds of things like Drytron, Tri Brigade.
We
You know,
2020 we didn't have in-person events.
that's true. Well, I mean, I did.
2020 was so diverse
Well,
because there was nothing
local
going on.
locals was open for me, so I went there and played. Yeah, you know, we had a strong mask mandate though, so there was that. Um,
I don't think we had like in-game play till like super late 2020 or something.
nah, I see, I see. You know, like I missed that Emancipator 100%, but like yeah, you know, like 2020, like early 2021, we had Prank Kids, we had Tri Brigade, we had like Drytron, we had like you know, we had an Emancipator, but like you know, it wasn't that strong because Block Dragon. But like so yeah, there was like just this pool of a bunch of different things that you could play, and it was fine. If I got away with playing like Harpy Lady Tri Brigade for the longest time before I started seeing like a hard stop, you know the meta was pretty diverse. You know, like but anyway, that's me just reminiscing on simpler times ever since, you know, it seems to me like the game is evolving, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think that everyone's going to be on board, but I find it exciting. You know, like whenever I came back into the game, Link monsters were exciting to learn. Pendulum was exciting to learn. You know, like it's just all this new stuff that like I didn't have back when I stopped playing back at Edison, and it just gave me so much to get to be invested in. You know, like learning cool new decks, new archetypes. I could do interesting things, etc. And I feel like the game is headed in that direction. However, it's scaling up the power a lot, and I feel like we might lose some players because of that. You know, like decks are more and more starting to be able to play in ways that they couldn't before. It seems to me like a lot of like main deck monsters within archetypes are having quick effects that can activate in hand, just so that each player has like the capacity to start doing things immediately. Personally, I enjoy that. It's gonna power creep the hell out of a lot of decks until they inevitably get support that brings them up to that power level. But that could be years, you know. So I don't know. It is what it is. Um, and with that in mind, yeah, maybe Mystic Mine should come back. Maybe not right now, but like in the near future, I could see it
I'm
100%.
clipping this out of context and uploading it as a short
Right.
as we speak.
Right. I mean, you did good there. You brought me around to your way of thinking. You're right. But with that being said, that is the conclusion for tonight's hangout and chill episode. You know, thank you guys for showing up. Please remember to like, comment, and share to help the channel grow, help people on YouTube be aware of us. And if you're on the podcasting platforms, Spotify, Google Podcast, etc., you know, thank you for joining us. And if you would like to be part of our live audience, we stream this show twice a week on Fridays and Sundays. And stop by, say hello, come into our chat, and you know, like tell us a joke. We enjoy laughing here, which is why you know, the, which is why Dare just pushes all my buttons until I become frustrated.
Uh, uh,
uh,
uh.
Earlier, like, like Mystic Mind. I was like, no, Dare, you're like, what's it called? Imperial Order. I'm like, Dare, why? Like,
You didn't even fucking catch that. I had to like show you.
yeah, you had to explain it to me because I 100% missed it. And you know what's funny? Whenever I'm editing
You
these,
missed it, mine.
good one. Whenever I, damn it, that's good. That's good. I wish I had thought of that. That's really good. Whenever I'm editing these episodes, I notice that sometimes it's like you will say something. I've caught this so many times. You will say a joke, and I don't know why, but it like goes right over my head, and I don't catch it until I'm editing, and I'm like, oh damn it, that was good, and I didn't even notice. So
Yeah, I'm great
yeah,
at what I do.
you're hilarious. But
Yeah.
thank you again, guys, for joining us. And until next time, I have been the Midnight Bard.
I've been having fun.
Adios.
Bye.